Crypto Sniper, welcome back. How are my beautiful people? Did you have a great weekend? It's always a great weekend if it's you're on the right side of the market weekend. Yep, hoping some of you are making out like bandits. Some of our community members sure are, and they're kind of happy, which is always great, as we like happy community members. By the way, we get about 60% of our people at the end of their year. They just keep staying on. They don't want to go away. We're happy to have that. It's a great retention rate. It should tell you something. And they just pay a monthly after that. So you only have to pay once for your learning and your recording and all the everything. Then you can just pay a monthly because you're a trained HVF sniper. And then you become a regular community member. And then you become a star. And then you're bringing setups. And other people are learning from you. And you teach what you seek to learn. And you just become more awesome. How about that? Anyway, a little bit of an interesting intro. But it was a good weekend, wasn't it? Good weekend indeed. And crypto pretty much as we kind of expect. A lot of people saying bear trap still, bear trap. It's a cunning trick. You're making money. It's a trick. It's a cunning trick. By the way, most of them, I don't know what they're going to do when we run 47,500 on Bitcoin. We'll look at the charts in a second. I don't know. Hit the like, hit the share, please. We appreciate it. Push it through to your local friends, buddies, Facebook groups, Twitterati, and all the other social medias. Bring the masses. Let us help them grow. Let us help them grow. Let us help them grow. It's great for us, and we truly appreciate it. Namaste. Yes, I did some Bikram this morning, so I'm all, I've got a 30-year-old spine again, or a 25-year-old spine. Look at that. Look at that pelvic twist and thrust, loosening up the joints. Anyway, so what are we going to talk to you about? Well, Bitcoin, despite looking like it needed a little bit of a come out. So here's something, a really important lesson that I think you should take on board. It's something that took me a while. Macro charting dictates the wind in your sails, the direction of the river. Go with it, generally. Then occasionally, after you've really been given lots of gifts, I was doing two-day charting on crypto because of our COT indicator. On Bitcoin, I was doing 2-day charting on Ethereum, and there were 10 green candles. That's 2 days each. And that's a lot, to go up, 1750. And the understandable question is, okay, we're going to have a little rest at some point. You don't go on forever and ever and ever and ever. Yes, but what tends to happen is if it's going on a little bit longer than you think, and the pullbacks are a little bit shorter than you think, you're getting feedback. You're getting feedback that this is early bull. All the scared money is out. All the liquidations and flushed out money is out. All the retail money, the excess is on the sides, plus some burnt hands. Ow, 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 still in fear. Don't forget, we were at extreme fear at the low in Bitcoin. Let's go have a look at that Bitcoin chart, shall we? Let's go have a look. We were at extreme fear. Draw it over here because Bitcoin is our direction God market. Surprisingly, I'm not actually holding very much Bitcoin at all, but it is definitely our direction God market. Let me just bring up my drawing tool. I'm like the Fed. We must have tools. I have tools. Apart from being a tool, I have a tool. I have a drawing tool. And one or two others. But anyway, so what's happening? Everybody thinks, yeah, it's got to rest. And what happens is it goes a little bit further than you expect. And then it has a pullback, sets up a kind of bearish formation on a low time frame, has a small little move, and then ends up pumping again. So when your low time frame, moderately bearish charting, rest periods actually don't turn out and it ends up going up again, you're getting a message of a very strong market. A couple of times I thought we might flounder a bit longer here. It didn't happen. We pushed higher. We came back, we kissed the top of and then we went straight away back up, new high. This is just very little in terms of pullback. You had one there. And that was some time ago after our wedge break. I should actually do log scale here. I think I've not done that. The bigger time frames, remember that one, do your log scale, especially if you've dumped super hard. So there it was. That was our wedge break. You've just been up, 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 up and away. And we came into Monday. I want to point out the other value of what we do. Go and grab, by the way, the free webinar series, the free mini series, that we have in our notes along the link. If you are no funds and you just want to get a basic idea of what we're doing. What happened here is that we've just been super robust and we keep going up. And I want to remind you on Friday, the dollar actually had a very strong day. The dollar had a strong day. There was an outsized beat on the non-farm payrolls number. We were doing live trading day. You could have been with us on that. We do it every first Friday of every month because of data. We do traditional markets and crypto markets. You can join us for next Friday, which would be in a month's time. But anyway, the point being the dollar came out real strong. So you would think as a fiat, the god market of the fiats, the US dollar, that would lean hard on crypto. I'm here to tell you that crypto had an amazing week and a great Friday into the face of a strong dollar, which is the god market of strength. At the same time, silver did a little spiller dip to the bottom, our precious metals, and had a little bit of a bounce back up in fairness, but it had a dip on the non-farm numbers. Bitcoin and even more so Ethereum, and the alt majors, especially the high quality ones, and we'll show you one or two that you missed by not being in our community that our guys have been trading, such as FTT. Yeah, we'll touch on him. But what you end up getting is you've had a strong weekend into the face of a strong dollar. And there's still people that are bearish. You're climbing up into a headwind. Yes, you're with the flow macro of the river, but there's a bit of a headwind in terms of the dollar. And look what happened. And I thought, well, maybe on Monday, maybe it's just the weekend. There's no new data. So the dollar was strong Friday, but wait till Monday comes, Monday, then we'll have our pullback. And what do I get? Each time I think, well, it needs a little bit of a pullback. I wake up and it's done that. Beep. So what you keep getting upside surprises on the shorter time frames. When you're expecting something to rest and you keep getting upside surprises, it's early bull, fresh bull, second half. So the main bull had a good old charge from the better part of 10K, 9,000 and a half odd from our first cup gold nugget, ran you all the way up to 64,000, almost 8 times, sort of 7.5 times. Then it was a little bit stale, had a 55% falling wedge. That's illegal now. No half-time oranges in good old Brexit anymore, Ireland. Not allowed, not good for the kiddies, little wedgy oranges. This was the entire story, as I said in my crypto ride around, which I did for you over the weekend. The entire story is a falling wedge half-time orange. So it should be, simplified. And in most of your charts, you will see this on your alts as well. Just a big ass falling wedge rest with a head and shoulder, a target made. We said there was a cot long in there, that therefore you shouldn't be short, you should stay and accumulate. And so it has been accumulate. But it takes some time for the reverberations of a 55% earthquake to squeeze themselves out, the aftershock. So it took a while. And then boom, you're suddenly going and you're fresh as a daisy. Now, a key level, that should be a key level that I expect will be run, but you might pivot around and pull back below, will be this 47.5 on Bitcoin. So I think first to run it, push through it. Maybe we'll just run it, what we call, the feign over and break back down, and then mess around below it, squeeze under it for a while, and then smash above it. So there'll be a bit of price interlude. Why? Because that was your right shoulder, and it was also your rising wedge head down to there. That's your armpits 1 and 2 of your head and shoulder. That's right. And 47.5 was your number. 3/4 of the way to 50. Absolutely logical. You also had the smaller rising wedge that you broke out of. That'll be a future level in and around the 57, 58 range. So those are going to be the next levels up that will be critical to fall. There's still so many people bearish, saying, oh, this is a great trap. And you're going to get caught. So think of all of that money that's staying out, that can't bear to buy Bitcoin in the low 40s, that's going to have to buy storming back in at 58,000. And those are people left on the sidelines. Even on your extreme sentiment, where you have jumped around, you were 10. We were still asserting accumulate, hold, long. 10 was the extreme fear. Not that long ago. It was around about the 20th. 10, extreme fear. Now today, if you have a look at that sentiment, did I take it away? No, it's still there. You can see how it was. Greed, last week 48, last month 20, and today 65 after touching 74. Wow. So it is, the sentiment is still not bullish. It's still not super bullish. There's a bit of greed in the air, but a lot of people are still in denial. A lot of people are a bit burnt and are still in denial. They're expecting a bear market. They have heard, and correctly, that every now and then in bear markets, you get some pretty violent rallies. So they're all saying pretty violent rallies. Could we be wrong? We absolutely could. This could be a violent rally before a major plummet down. I would expect the news would have to be something terrible, like central banks are going to be doing all their own digital tokens and Bitcoin has been cancelled, banned and everything. Then maybe, who knows, maybe they would do that. But there's a lot of institutions that would have to get taken down. Think of MicroStrategy and all of these guys, Jack of Twitter and elongated muskiness. Tesla is a chosen one company and they hold Bitcoin. So, I mean, that would be quite a hole to cancel Bitcoin. So I don't think personally that that's particularly high. Maybe there's other news that could do that, but what could be worse than China's canceling mining and corporations? You've just sat through all of that in this melee over here. That was as bad as it got. You sat through all of that in this melee right here. And look what's happening now. And look what's happening now indeed. And I want to show you FBTC because we said Ethereum is your buy. Ethereum is your buy. Bitcoin is your direction. And it will go back up and it will permission the others. But that in actual fact, ETH is going to outperform. So we'll start with ETH USDT, shall we? Look at that climb back above the 3,000. The same time, you could have had ETH at 1775. There was your extreme fear of 10, and you were completing your third impulse of what we called a 3-impulse falling wedge. As reliable as all hell. That's right, it's HVF method. It's a localized cousin to the full HVF setup. And there she broke. Beautiful candle. And then you've been marching up in this channel. And I'm like, one of these days, this channel's going to break to the downside. One of these days. One of these days. And it keeps marching. One of these days. One of these days. And so I keep counting. And so it keeps going. One of these days. One of these days. And it still really broke out to that channel to the upside. And formed like a little bit of a rising wedge on a lower time frame. And is still climbing up. There is a lot of buying. You listen to Raul. He's the only other guy who's been as bullish as me on Ethereum. And he says there's going to be a shortage once everyone starts staking Ethereum. Everyone's going to buy Ethereum and stake it. He reckons there'll be about, was it 13 or 18%? Correct me later in the comments somewhere. Let's say the higher number, 18% of it, it'll be available for float. Because everyone else that for buying, because the people that hold it are going to stake it. And that's what's going. That's where they're heading. So you're going to actually get Ethereum to do what some of the staking tokens have very successfully done to pump their price. And they're going to be super big if that happens. A lot of it's going to be taken off the market. It's not going to be available. You're going to have to chase up higher and faster to buy it. You could see a 10K, a 20K Ethereum. You could even break 20K Ethereum. You could be half a cycle behind like Bitcoin was. I remember being Bitcoin 3000. I was in the trading market. I remember shorting at around 5 and getting out at 2999 on a head and shoulders and then being net long. These kind of price numbers. And guess what? Ethereum's now at those levels and Bitcoin's at a whole new plane. But the FBTC is to the bullish upside, and I see a 9% being run and potentially overperformance because it's a fresh bull. It's almost like a new one that can overperform. That's what we cover. That's what we discuss. That's what you'll learn some about in our pre-recorded materials and in our community and in our implementations and in our updates that we do that are with our guys. There's a link. Book a call if you want to. And click the link. Get an opportunity, choose a date and time, be courteous and show up and have a chat with somebody who is where you were not so long ago. So let's have a look at that ETH bull. So during that 19th period, you actually traded sub 300. I didn't get at the 200s. But you get at 299s as low there, now sitting at 1650. If you'd bought in the 400s, anywhere in the 400s, somewhere between 400 and 450, you'd be 3.5x already. And still looking strong. What I think will happen? Well, this will go up even faster if Ethereum gets a parabolic move. It goes up 5x, even though it's a 3x token in those instances, if you have non-stop up moves that are highly impulsive. So you get a compounding effect because it adds, at the end of the day, more Ethereum. And when you're selling, it has to distribute. So you actually get that. It's not for everybody. You need to have a high risk profile, but it's worked very, very well for me. It's a nice, simple hodl. There's no stop loss. There's no liquidations. Look, this can go to $1 or even less, 30 cents. But you'd have to watch it happening. And you'd have to be pretty bearish to expect that to happen. And I expect the exact opposite. So what could happen? If Ethereum goes pretty impulsive at some point while it's still early and fresh, or even mid-cycle, or the blow-off at the end of cycle, and Ethereum runs off to 10K or mid-teens or even 20, or even just to 7, it's going to be pretty spectacular on the ETH-Bull token. Do not put anything in a bull token if you don't, that you can't afford to lose. You're going to have to get out of this, because the minute there's pullbacks, it will fall even harder and even faster. And then you'll not want to get out, and then you'll hodl, and then you'll get killed. That's what's going to happen to you. I'm warning you, so you know. It's not advice. It's just telling you what I've done. I grabbed a whole clutch of them, well below the current price point, at various levels of pricing. Some as expensive as 1,000, some as low as in the 400s. And I've been in net accumulating, especially along this low. Why? Because we were waiting for that third impulse to finish, and we expected an upside break, and we expected it to be impulsive, and we expected it to be a fresh bull. Why is it a fresh bull? Because it's had a rest. It's ready to run again. Your fastest horse has had an overnight in the stable. He's no longer tired, and he's ready to run. Let's drink to that. Let's show you something a bit different. I've said before to you that our old SBF is the new Zuckerberg. What happened to Bitfinex by Binance when Bitfinex was being absolutely pounded, regulatory challenges. Basically, the market share of what was then the biggest exchange, Bitfinex, largely got transferred to Binance. And now Binance is getting Bitfinexed. And that market share, in my opinion, while it's not quite as cut and dried, as simple as that, a large part of that, I think, is going to end up in FTX. And the profile of SBF very much fits a young version of Zuckerberg. And the control structure is going to be coming, and lots of features, but it's a good exchange. It's much nicer to use than Binance. So I have no illusions about any of crypto. I have no illusions about any of crypto and being freedom. I just want to make the money. Keep it simple. Make the money. Make the money. Think about your personal planning, your financial planning, your taxation separately. We do things like that. We look after our community in terms of those things like that. There's office things that you can do to protect your profile to a degree, and look to be a rich slave. Let's have a look at that FTT. So FTT, and this was put forward by our community members. I'll just show you a quick flash of one of the setups. FTT, this was FTT against BTC. Well done to the man involved. A stalwart of our community was highlighting a setup there. And let's go have a look what he was doing. He were comparing. So we're wanting to see tokens that are going to be stronger than Bitcoin or Ethereum. That might be in structure stronger than Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we selected, or this particular person brought our attention to, and we all applauded it and got involved with it, on FTT. I already am, and it is one I already have a hodl in, and I've even staked some tokens. Why? Because it's just cheaper trading for me. They give you incentives, so I do it. But as this exchange becomes more popular, I'm also doing more on decentralized exchanges, it has to be said. For exchanging, if I'm using exchanges, it's much easier to use than Binance. Clearly, Binance is being targeted, and I think you're going to have exactly what I feel will happen is a transfer of market share going on. Let's get a nice straight line. Come on. So again, you had, this is against Bitcoin. Be aware, please. You have your orange segment, half-time oranges. Yes. You got that all here from me many months ago. You got your third impulse in there. It only came back down to the half. You got your break and return move. And then you got this structure here. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. This is the ground FTT has made against Bitcoin, who in of itself is going up. This is very positive. And in fact, it's not too far off the high point that it got. That was roughly 0.12% of a Bitcoin. That was its high point. You're back in the 0.1s. You had 3 zeros on your to accumulate on at the moment. At this low, you were 306. Now you're 201, and now you'll be back up and almost doubling from the lows. So FTT's performance, if it gets back up to 1.2, will be an almost doubling since the end of June, which actually wasn't very long ago. It was beginning of July. And we kind of, where are we now? We're sort of first week of August. And almost doubling against Bitcoin that's been doing great. So it's been fast against a fast horse. Even faster still. That's FTT. You can have a look at it in the fiat form. And this is just such a perfect rounded bottom. And without doubt, this will be making new highs and going to much bigger levels. Let's do it on the daily. You can see it more clearly. That's your daily chart. If you want a nice example of a rounded bottom, you've got it right there. It's a pretty decent example. Bit of volatility here for sure with that low. But you got a marginally lower low, and then you failed to make a new low. And you started to get the volatility to iron out. And look at that. Essentially steep down. That is your, many will want to shout out cup, but it's bowling price behavior. You might get a pause here as you approach this level over there. That would be $62. Really worth having. Good setup. Overperformance against Bitcoin. $62. And as I was saying to you, it was 23. It's not at 62 yet, but it shouldn't be too long. And I actually expect it to pass as more people use that token and more people are using that exchange. Yep, so that's some things that we've done. You also missed the theta if you did. The target, well, near target. I'm still holding it. Had a bit of a pullback. There's been a couple of plays that we looked at. We spoke to you about Uni and Solano. So we'll check in with that we did give to you. Uni was one of those favorites. I think I covered it last time, technically. I can't give all our setups away. We talk about some of them afterwards. But I did highlight to you that failed to make new lows after the initial sell. That showed relative strength. So in the cycling video, I mentioned your best alts that failed to make new lows after the initial crash. That was the initial crash. Then, of course, on Ethereum and others, you got falling wedges. Actually, there, you didn't make a new low. You held a level. So that showed quite a bit of relative strength. So it did wet the bed pretty hard initially, but subsequently, it kind of hung tough. And it's back above the key level of 23, where you had a bit of interaction. And it's probably a key level around it. Again, another token that I think is up and coming, Uni. And you want to be early aggressive on those. But if you rush in and buy right now, you could have a return move to the 23 key level. Why? Because there's a kind of W bottom there, and it serves as a bit of a neckline. I don't feel it, but every time I've thought it's due a little bit of a pullback, we've crept a little higher. This is telling you there's a lot of money on the sidelines. There's a lot of money on sidelines. The pullbacks are very weak and shallow, and the runs always go in a little further. Early stage fresh bull. Early stage fresh bull. Repeat after me. Extending up moves with very shallow pullbacks that keep on going when you're expecting that a bigger pullback is long overdue is telling you one key point. Early stage fresh bull. Okay? Take it from me or don't. And those are the moments where you want to be the most aggressive. Not late stage mega pump. Melt up of ridiculous extremes. That's when you should be selling to the dumbest of money that can't afford not to be in. They hate the fact that all their mates are making money in crypto. They've been sitting on the sidelines all this time, and now they just have to be in so that they can say, yeah, I'm also in. Avoid that. You've got to get out. You've got to get out at some point. Be aggressive early. be more conservative when the laser eyes come back. No laser eyes in sniper land. Did anyone notice that? Lots of laser eyes in other parts of the YouTube world. Oh dear, That's almost a contraindicator. So Ada, a little bit of a look for you. I think Peter Brunt was calling head and shoulders. I disagree with him here. Don't think so at all. But he could be right if we have that extreme negative Bitcoin. But for this to be a head and shoulder, what he doesn't realize, or what many people, maybe he does realize, I can't speak for his behalf, or anybody else, I don't want to over-personalize this, but he's called Doggy and Ada and a few others as head and shoulders, is you're actually calling Bitcoin down too, because Bitcoin is direction God. And we all had Michael Burry. His Twitter account was closed, and then suddenly it was open to release the supreme macro head and shoulder. I said, no, I disagree with you, my friend. I think I'm a better technical analyst than you. You may be an otherwise genius in financials and studying balance sheets and all of that. He's a very smart guy. The Big Short movie and all of that, and many other FUD merchants. But it seems maybe that was just a bit of FUD. Maybe the people that wanted him to close his Twitter account needed him to do a little bit of fudding for them. I don't know what deals happen. I don't trust anything anymore. I'm just finding so many people are saying various things and not even being honest to what they truly think. So for me, it's pretty straightforward world. We don't think he's right. There's a big one there, key level on Ada. Just because you can draw a head and shoulder doesn't mean it will turn out one. If Bitcoin has a very bad sell-off and it goes through the previous lows and it takes back everything we've got now, and it is that great big bear trap that all the descending triangle guys are calling, I'll be wrong, and this could be a triggered head and shoulders, and fair play to him for calling it, but Bitcoin doesn't look like it is doing that to me. It looks like it's going to go through up to the 47, and after the 47, 58, 59 could be on, not overnight, not necessarily this week, not necessarily next week, but in time, maybe get a bit more choppy as it starts to get to previous highs, some nerves, and then it could create a secondary high, come off a bit, and set up a continuation pattern. Or it might be so strong being early bull, it will just have a moderate pullback and just take out the highs screaming up. Either of those are scenarios I consider, and I think the head and shoulders callers here are going to be very disappointed because you're not going back down to one on that. And that goes for Doggy as well, even though we don't know what even is behind that token. If the market is bullish and the money is coming back in, the dumb money will come back in too. And for whatever use that Elon has flagged, maybe because he's put his name to it and he's protected and part of the control structure, you will see. In fact, it's already gone up a little up. I haven't looked at it during this weekend. This too is also not what was referred to as a double-shouldered head and shoulder by Mr. Brunt. Not for me. Not at all. It's a falling wedge break. It's come down to a level of around 17 and a quarter stroke 18. I probably should choose the 18. And actually over the weekend it had a little push up. Am I saying go and buy a Doggy? Not necessarily. You could put a bit of speculative money, but I would guess it's more likely if Bitcoin continues to do the trajectory I told you to go higher than to fall through on a head and shoulders. By the way, that head and shoulders up there at 60 with a neckline here at 18 means it would go to minus something, which is also another impossibility. And I've tended to find head and shoulders with negative targets don't tend to materialize. Generally, my observation. That doesn't mean you can't break down. They don't go to zero, generally. In other words, not everything that has 3 bumps in the road is a head and shoulders. You've got to use context. And by the way, head and shoulders rarely get lower in volatility before the break. You rarely get squeeze outs in the volatility. Look at that. How do you call that a downside break? It can very rarely happen, but it's not common. It's not common. What typically happens is you have skittish behavior, and that's what happens. So there you go. You get it from us. Andre says, hello, good people. He likes that. Peter Schiff becomes bullish is a topping indicator, says somebody. It's Carthago. He says, watch out when Peter Schiff gets bullish. He also says breaking out of a multi-year cup and handle. Number of people. James Thompson had a great weekend. Was away from the computer, but my trades were set, he said, doing this. Yes, nice, buddy. Sniper looking advert today, bud. I don't know what that means, but thank you. What price does the bigger pullback come again, Francis? Gold looks terrible. Yeah, the metals are having a tough time, actually. They didn't like the dollar strength, which is a further reason other things went down. Copper, too. Don't forget, copper's going to go up 4x. You use 4 times more copper in a car that is EV than in an internal combustion engine. So ICE versus EV, 4x copper. Simple tech speak. So over the long run, you're going to be running short of copper. You're going to have to dig a lot of holes in the ground. Maybe they'll be finding some silver with that when they do that, because they are typically often mined together. So just looking at your comments, I'd remove all funds from Binance, dark shadow. Don't get caught in the height of a bull market with locked funds. Yeah, they also had some pretty sketchy performance, Binance, after the last sell-off. I think maybe a number of exchanges may have had a problem, but their derivatives bot, they haven't been knocking the ball out the park as an exchange. So, you know, I have nothing in there. Yes, BitButler caught the Eth ride all the way from 1800. Good man. That's top job. That's what you want to do. Keep building that wealth, bud. Who else have we got there? The Great Closet. Somebody thinks Bitcoin is a trap. So the pullback, people say, when's the pullback coming on Bitcoin? Now that people want a pullback to get in, well, it might come a lot later than you want, and might come a lot higher than you think, and it might last a lot shorter than you'd like. That's what happens in early bulls. So it's kind of a difficult situation. It's got a trading 46,000. You are $1,400 away from the neckline of the head and shoulders that we called and said, get stablecoin. So many people say, I've called Bitcoin right all the time. We're not done too bad on that one. And target was there. And then we said accumulate. And then we got a bit skittish here when we had that squeezy. Said might be short if it follows through. It didn't. We went back to our long, and we've stayed long since. And that's where it is. And now you're coming 47,500. 46,000 Bitcoin. So that pullback, someone said, I think we run 47.5 before you get any major sizable on a meaningful time frame. We're on the daily chart now. Meaning time frame. And then, what was the other key level we gave you? Way back, before you'd even made first cup gold nugget target. That was 2.618%. 54,000, I don't know if the hundreds are necessary, but $150. We gave you that as a Fibo macro call. And we've given you the next one already on the basis that this was the low a long time ago. A long time ago. On this channel, previous YouTubes, why your next levels will be in and around, I think it was 170K. Starting from the pullback of here, taking you up the next leg. And we said up to potentially 320, 360. So you've got a big range of 170 to 360 where the next high could be, potentially. With fibs, which is pretty accurate at times. This 54K, there it is. It came from our first cup gold nugget, and I think it gave you a pretty damn good, my apologies, it's the higher blue line. I'm short selling myself. I think it gave you a pretty good top. Only when we were trading 64 would you have said you got me out too soon. You had small little iceberg there, there, and then your final high there, and you had there. If you had locked in and gotten conservative and stable coin, you would have been back in the market buying along the 30K. You would have had 4 separate instances where you could have done it. There, 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 and there. Reaccumulate. Welcome. Gone from 10 Bitcoin to 20. How about that? Not bad. First cup gold nugget. It was projected from here. Our squeezy Japanesey. Our break, feign back, return. Second most important HVF. Vroom. And everyone says it's a parabola. Actually, you never really had a full melt up here. You've not had a full melt up like you had in 2017. That's second half. And that's when you're all going to be drugged up, thinking you're moving like John Travolta on the dance floor. You've knocked back 6 tequilas. You've snorted 3 lines of coke, and all the strippers are bouncing their crotches on your thighs, and you're thinking you're the stud, and you're not leaving this party for all the tea in China. You've never felt so good, and that's when you get caught out. The lights suddenly get switched on, the cops raid the place, you get slapped in the gob, and you're in the back of a police van, and they tow in your car because you try to drive your way home intoxicated. That moment's still to come. And I'm here to try save you from being really stupid and doing dumb stuff. And that is a blow-off. We're on Binance, but that was the ending blow-off. Let's try draw it again. See if I can aim a bit better. That's an ending blow-off. You didn't have an ending blow-off in the same scale here. Hasn't happened yet. It will come, it will come, it will come, and you will need to leave the club sober and get a designated driver to sensibly drive you home before the big brawl starts. That's what I intend to do. Bro, somebody loves cocaine. This channel does not advocate the use of narcotics. Do not love cocaine. It will get you into more trouble. You'll lose your head. The hangover ain't worth it, but none of those things, I think, are worth it. So someone says, can you talk about Hex? Well, here's my concern about Hex. I like Hex, and I'm in Hex, and it's rewarded me very well. So I'll keep it short, because not everyone's a fan. But here's what I will tell you. A very strong Ethereum is not necessarily good for Hex, in my point of view. It's done exceedingly well for me. I've enjoyed it. Massive gratitude to Richard Hart. I will be getting some Pulse as well. Yep, I did some sacrificing, but I can say you the ETH I sacrificed has gone up 80-90% since I sacrificed it. So Pulse needs to do real well for me now because I gave up ETH, because that's what I had. Everything was largely ETH. So this is Hex USDC. So we'll do a bit of coverage for it because he asked politely. I don't think that means it does badly. I just think in fiat terms it churns for a while. It's in overperformance bands for me from an HVF, and it hasn't fallen out. You will learn about overperformance bands and why they're so useful. So it's still within them. But I think it goes a bit sideways. Don't forget, with a Pulse chain, you're going to get a second crop of Hex. You're going to get P Hex, and you also have E for Ethereum chain Hex. So some people might sell their E Hex and move it all onto P Hex because it's lower gas, lower transactions. So there could be an overhang, a slight overhang, because all the benefit of the sacrificing and the reduction in Hex float has probably worked out. That's a fundamental comment. Technical comment is it's still in its trumpet of overperformance bands, and I would still expect it to be worthy of holding until it falls out this lower level or melts up out the top. And I think it's more likely just to stay somewhere in the range, but go a bit sideways for a while. If I look at Hex F, which is the chart I keep competing it against, because my benchmark token is F, because that's where I have a big holding, it's actually had a blow off high and is a bit soft. So I know you asked, but I'm maybe not saying everything you want to hear. Yeah, will it be worth? That's what's happened. And the way you analyze a chart, just take, if you're not interested in Hex, just look at the technical side of things. That's a Hunt volatility trumpet. It's called a trumpet. It's a broadening structure. You would have let it pop out the top and you would have closed on the return move there. It's now gone through and out the bottom. Against Ethereum, it's had a blow off top. It's looking a bit toppy and a little sick against ETH. It's a very, very difficult benchmark to beat ETH. So overall, the reason to buy right now when there's possibly sellers once the pulse takes place. Personally, I'm a little cautious. And a little extra thing. I'm a big fan of Richard and all of that. Good stuff. But I think he's wrong on Ethereum and Bitcoin. And he didn't want to take my bet. What I would say is it's not a good time to be too high profile. Someone who's launching your own version of new money. There will come a day, I always ask, you either control structure or you get taken down. I remember the guy who actually booked and backed gold and actually had the physical gold and was the original e-gold guy. All over the world, people sent him money, he bought gold and held it, and they had e-gold and they could trade with this. They created money that was gold backed because the dollar sure ain't. And they locked him up. They locked him up for it. They'll never let you have your own money. That's my key saying. I keep reminding you of it. If you create something and they don't have a control in it and they stake it. Fluffy Pony got arrested about some commercial dispute in South Africa. Since when is America arresting people passing its country for some commercial dispute in South Africa? Tell me that's not to do with Monero. I'm kind of skeptic. I think it's got lots to do with Monero. I think some people are whispering in his ear right now. That's what I think is happening. How much he'll admit to afterwards, it may not serve him to admit it. They might say, and if you gabber too much about our little chit-chat, guess what? We'll come and get you again. Remember McAfee? So who knows? These are ugly people. So the one thing I would say is not the wisest thing always long-term to be a high-profile creator of new money. Not the wisest thing necessarily long-term. I think the one big fear I have is SEC don't need a real law. Richard's clever, he knows the law and all of that. They don't need a law. They can just arrest you and say, plead guilty to diminished charges or get messed around for 30 years. So be careful. But I love Hex and Richard's a good guy. From what my experience so far. But like every person, he has his own motivations, just like me, etc. So don't ever marry anybody too much. Don't marry me. Don't marry anyone. Marry your own interests. Marry your wife. Marry your girlfriend. Make her your wife if that's the game. So that's what else? What other tokens were we wanting to talk about? I wanted to tell you about FTT, and I did. We had a look at ADA. We can show you BNB. So here's the big benchmarking trick for all of you. You guys are going to throw out a whole bunch of altcoins. My coin, look at my coin. Tell me some news about my coin. How about you learn to tell yourself news about your own coin, the one that you love? And here's one simple trick that I give you absolutely for free right here, right now on this channel. Hit the like button. Here it comes. Go on, hit that like button. Top, that's it. The one there. That's right. Nothing bad happens. You might get a Fruit Loop if you hit it 3 times in short succession. It might just drop out like the bottom. Just check under your table. Anyway, so if you do that, you draw a fib on the previous high. When Bitcoin was 64, where is your high on that token? Binance, that's its high. Then draw the base, the 0 at the low. And then ask yourself, how's it performed since the collapse? Binance just got out of the blood basement, as I like to call it. This is where they do Saw, the movie, you know, where limbs get removed. This is what the control structure does to people when they when they think no one's watching. Saw 2, blood and gore. You want to be out of there. It's dangerous. Green areas where you want to be. Now I can tell you Ethereum is in the 50 to 61.8% range. This one's just climbed out. Another calculation you can do. So the amazing thing about half-time orange wedges, because it was all a falling wedges. I told you it was half-time. I told you you're going to get orange wedges. The amazing thing about it is that you get to see who fell hard and bad when there was a bit of trouble in town and who held up better. So what you do is you take that value, 692, call it 700. 211, call it 200. He lost 500 out of 700. Now, kind of difficult number to do percentages on. But you'll understand if I say that's rather a lot. That's rather a lot. 50% would have been 3.5. You lost about 70% there. You lost about 70% in that spill. That was a big spill. So who lost the biggest percentage? Calculate how much at halftime from high to low. What was percentage you lost? 5/7. Somebody will do the number for me. In fact, I've got a calculator here. I'll give you an exact calc. And you can compare this to Bitcoin and Ethereum. 5 / 7. You can actually do the exact number. 71%. I would say 70% you lost because it was 692 and it was 211. You lost 70%. That's not too impressive. Bitcoin lost 55. What was ETH? ETH lost less than 70%. I can tell you that much. 4375. I better hope and pray I don't make myself look stupid here. 4375 divided by, and I will invert the 1702. Still a fair bit. $38. You lost about 60%. You got 39, 0.39. You lost about 60% on ETH. You lost 70% on BNB. In Ethereum, your snapback, the bigger alts will have the better bounce generally, I think. Then, and one or two shooting stars, future big bulls, like Uni, possibly Solana. You're well through the 50% mark and you're 1/3 of the way to the 61.8. While on Binance, you're the equivalent of here. So who fell more and who's recovered more since we've started? And by the strength, the one that's higher, because that goes exactly against your notion. You're thinking, yeah, but Binance will come back and I can get it cheaper. I'm getting in earlier. No, there's a reason why the others have bought back stronger. But be careful. Don't always use a limit and ideally get a pullback, but you're not getting one long. By the way, I got someone on Twitter saying, and there you go, you're wrong. It's going down on that day. You're wrong. You're wrong. I got you. I got you. I got you like that. Did you see that? I got you. I was like, you're right, mate. You nailed me. I'm being done. Long from 1700s, but you got me there, boy. You got me. It came back on that day. And guess what? He got me again later, higher up. I love that stuff. I got one guy who's, he's calling bullish now. He's calling bullish now. You guys should all exit. And I was like, mate, I've been bullish all this time. I'm never going to get caricatured correctly. I don't know if he watches the YouTubes. He's suddenly bullish. Everyone should get out. I was like, what? Here, I'm bullish. Not there and not there. Not talking about third impulses. Here, the only guy. You never get the credit you due. That's what happens. But never mind. I don't mind. Make money. Nothing else matters. YouTube credits and comments are not currency for me. Call outs. They are not. Money in the bank. Good. Let's have a look. Oh, yes. Some sniper Jordan is saying you don't have to do the dumb maths that I was doing. There's a much better way to do it. Thank you for the reminder. Actually, he's absolutely right. Where's the percentage tool? I need to get a reminder of that thing. Somebody showed it to me and I stopped using it. Is it this one? I think it might be. There you go. 41 bars, 61%. Spot on, mate. Thank you for reminding me. There you go. You don't have to be as slow coach as me. Just use the tools you've got. There we go. We all learned together. Thanks for that. I have actually been shown it before, but I just forget stuff. I get out of habits. Josh, I didn't say don't hold any Bitcoin. I said I am choosing not to. I am overweight Ethereum. Why? Because of FBTC. I never showed you the FBTC chart. So let's go there. Here's the FBTC chart. You were given this to me. I still tweet it out. Again, they had this, some guy. Anyone can write these hodl articles. Cointelegraph. Analyst says Ethereum to spill like ADA did because ADA BTC has fallen through that low down there. I said, no, it's not. Ethereum's a bigger token than ADA. Ethereum's showing relative strength. Bitcoin's about to turn, and Ethereum's going to turn faster. What happened? And that was round about there. Ethereum up, up, up. Ethereum is broken and is playing footsie with an HVF that is a wind up on the 2.5 year bear market inverted head and shoulders that it's now been consolidating, and what is just a small, in the long scale of things, didn't feel small, 2 months of it, half-time oranges. There you go. Looks almost like a wedge, only it held a low level, and it's busy breaking, and it'll run 9. It'll run 9, and we've been telling you be long Ethereum since 2.5. There were 4 HVFs up, getting up here with wind-ups. And that was the only time you wanted to get out. We even said to you, the bear market is confirmed when Ethereum gets a big reversal. The major alt queen is turning down against Bitcoin. The bear market is starting to be confirmed. There, May, somewhere between the 10th and the 17th. That's when it happened. If you avoided that spill, you did well. And we're coming back under that neckline. You see that? That was the neckline. Round about 75. So, please, I'm not saying don't hold Bitcoin. I just prefer to go a little faster than Bitcoin. And I think that's going to be Ethereum. I'm saying if you're not in crypto, certainly hold Bitcoin. But if you're in crypto and you can hold many tokens, choose Ethereum. And I'm not just saying that. I've been saying it for ages. So many people do not hear and do not listen to what I'm saying. We've been long Ethereum. I've told you. Blue pot. I am almost 100% Ethereum. I got a bit of Uni and I got a bit of FTT as my hodl blue pot. That is largely it. I have a small amount that I accumulate of BTC on fractions on a monthly thing, and I spend most of my time turning it into Ethereum. Okay. Then I have some Hex that's kind of separate in another parallel universe. Great, great, great. And I'll receive some pulse for some sacrifice to him. That's it. Very simple blue pot. I'm not trying to be in every single major winner. And I have some leverage trades on Uni, Ethereum, and I have leverage token on Ethereum. It's the only leverage token I hold, and I've had it for ages. And FTT, which I've staked because I'm on the exchange. That's it. That's what I'm doing, guys. It's quite simple. It's not that complex. And as a result, BTC is my direction god, but it's not my holding. Hbar says Pez Master. So what I was showing you is you can go do what I gave you to do on your alt token to see how well it's done against the likes of Ethereum. If it isn't beating Ethereum or looking better technically than Ethereum, it's probably not yet worth holding. It might start to come alive a little later, but stay with the ones that were alive early because they're usually the overperformers. I don't know if you remember the last alt run. Uni was strong. Aave was strong. Binance token was strong. DOT was strong. Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, the old 2017 alts, not so strong. They didn't do bad, but they were not so strong. They turned later. They ran less. Now, do you want to be buying the Litecoins, Bitcoin Cashes, or do you want to take the ones that are the early movers that were strong? ADA was an early mover in the alt move. It was indeed. So if you want Hbar, I will show you Hbar, but I can say to you, you can learn to do this yourself. That's a horrible chart. That's on Binance. Let's do it with Tether. So what did I say? All charts are half-time oranges. In orange, you take your orange pen and you do that. That's the understanding. You have broken the falling wedge. You just haven't done as much as some other tokens. But is it looking good? I think it is. I think this is a macro continuation. You haven't done so much now, but I wouldn't be surprised as when the second stage alt run starts and some of the smaller names start moving, that this can go incredibly far, incredibly fast. But it's been a slower starter. Stay with the fast starters to begin with. It makes sense. They rarely let you down. But this is a macro continuation pattern since this bull market down here, where you could have had 2 cents, 2 or 3 cents, now 21 cents. Massive. massive move, log scale. So it's looking great. Even outside of log scale and regular scale, you can see, if I just leave my log scale draw on and I draw in pink now, you can see that, hey, pink, transgender pink. You guys going to buy my NFTs? I do an NFT box set for you in TG Pink. Huh? What do you say? With a couple of classic sayings. Oh dear. So even when you do it like this, you can see quite a big pullback. It looks better on the log scale. And so far, a moderate recovery. It's not shooting the lights out. I think it'll find its mojo again in time. But again, do your fib. So exactly what I showed you. How much did it give back as a percentage? You can do the measuring tool. Let's do the measuring tool as reminded. To the low. 70% down. You see, all the small tokens kind of had like a near bear. When 70% isn't a full bear. I remember the main bear that was 95% down, like NEM, 99% down. Lots of the top 10 tokens, 95% down. That was a real bear market. 70% down is like, that's a little earthquake, minor tremor. In the equity markets, the guys would be dying. Dying after 20% down and crying. You got to be tough for crypto, but you get the rewards if you are. So, yeah, 70% down. How much of it has it retraced? I'm not sure. It's probably just out of its blood basement. Whoops, got the wrong thing there. We found ourselves a pitchfork. We don't want that. Largely useless, but in my opinion. Tried most tools, I can tell you. You see, you're sitting on the blood basement there. So I'll just wipe the face. It's the reaction so far. The money's not ready to come rushing back in yet. TG Pink NFT, says BitButler. You'd get the spiller from Manila, you'd get a thriller, you would get a lot in your NFT box set in TG Pink. You will get a lot. You'll get a picture of the dude at the party all losing his head, dancing with the strippers. You'd get the works. I need an artist to draw my NFT. Get in touch. Support at themarketsniper.com. I'll do you some crazy art for your NFTs. I need some t-shirt sayings. I need some help. We're too busy in trading to get crazy with the silly stuff. But we need somebody. Get in touch with us. Peer token, looking like an easy 150%, he says. Don't know Peer. We're getting a bit small now. If I don't know it, it's probably small. By the way, Elrond, I will mention, ran into some people working with the central banks. Yeah, Satan. But I think we can't hold back the tide, guys. Elrond working with a central bank, so maybe a little bit of a ripple profile. A lot of these tokens. Let me just see if I can find it. So that's going to be control structure. All your control structure stuff. It's the same as Schmoogle, FaceAche, and all the rest of them. If you want to make the money, it's going to be the devil's coin. And they're all jumping over themselves to do it. Look at that. Nice recovery. That's a nice rounded bottom as well. It's getting a bit parabola already. A little bit perky. Big recoveries there. Again, W bottom, not quite a W, kind of a squeeze. But that was a key level. It was a key level there, there, and there, and then again there, and there, and there, and there. Rounded bottom and recovery. It's showing more recovery than Hbar right now. So there you go. There's one for nothing from me that you can play with on the recovery side. And it's come out of nowhere. Central bank tokens, and it's been quite HVF compliant. It's given you some nice signals and nice rounded. That's a nice rounded bottom. Who doesn't like a nice rounded bottom? He says that'll also be in your box set, your NFT box set. A dirty old man feeling the rounded bottom. When I wanted to grow up, I wanted to be a dirty old man, and I'm well on the way to meeting my goals. What else have you guys got for me? Solano, yes, somebody really wants Sol. He thinks if he asks 9 times, it will be more happily received. Sol Eth is the chart you should be looking at. You need it to beat Ethereum, because otherwise you should just take Ethereum. We're waiting to see. Is it done masturbating against Ethereum, or is it going to start building a base? That's what we need to see. That's the chart that should be your most interesting one. Against BTC, it's a bit better, I think. But still, it stalled a little. It should have held this level. We were disappointed in it when it ran that low. That meant that that's all a slightly complex, and it's kind of skidded a bit too far. It needed to hold that line. It didn't. So it got stalled and held back a little bit. So it was looking hot to trot, and then it started to look a little jaded. Overall, you can see we're doing a lot of work on it, though. And if you look at it from a blood basement point of view, it's retraced more than your Hbar has as well. And the other reason it's interesting is that it never made a new low after the first sell-off. So it showed relative strength. It's not a falling wedge, actually, while all the others are falling wedge with marginally lower lows. So it did hold, and you're currently in the dark green zone. That is 50 to 61.8. So it showed a fair amount of bounce back ability. You want to know, how far did he fall and how good is the bounce back ability? I think it lost 70% though on the downside, because it's a smaller token than Ethereum. So I think if you do that measure, it could be at least 70%. What was that low? 67. Yeah, so not the worst, not far from the worst. So Sol is, we still quite like, and we're still watching. But it takes a lot to beat Ethereum. Good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the session. Quick check-in with you. Book a call. Hit the link. Become part of our community. You can build. This is the key moment. The second half. Guys, this is your cycle. It's a new world after that. I'm telling you, it's a whole new world. They will be deeply embedded in everything. Blockchain, the dark state, the surveillance, Apple, scanning your photos in case you have little nude babies. Yep. No, they want to do that. They really care, but they're not worried about the Epstein story or anything like that. Nah. Where's Ghislaine Maxwell? Where's her testimony? Nah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Microsoft, Bill Gates, all of them flying on planes to special little private islands. We're not worried about that, but we want to scan your phone. You might be pedo. Yeah, that's the story. That's how it goes. So don't trust them. Play safe. This is your 6 months. It's going to be a different world. You've got 6 months till the end of the year. Max it out. Play it right. You're welcome to be part of us, or you can check in on our YouTubes. Give us a like and a share, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.